Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Tony. Woo.
Hello, and welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. So unfortunately, we've had some recent events, and right now, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm recording it on March 13th, 2020, and we had some recent news about a new virus, the coronavirus, that was being spread. And in efforts to decrease the rapid spread of the virus, recently, today, a lot of colleges have been canceled for indefinite, for the rest of the semester, not indefinitely, but for the rest of the semester. Lots of schools have been closed. Lots of people are are being encouraged to work from home. And it's caused a lot of chaos and a lot of stress and a lot of unknown, and for some people, a lot of fear. And it's a very serious issue. So now I definitely first want to address kind of the actual coronavirus and the severity of it and kind of what it can do to your body and all of those things. But more importantly, I'm going to teach you about kind of ways, eventually we're going to get into ways to boost your immune system, certain foods to be consuming regularly, ways to kind of take care of your body to prevent from getting sick. But I will say that, listen, I'm not one to say that this is like what's going on is ridiculous or not ridiculous or all that. It is a serious matter because it is affecting a lot of people in a lot of different situations. The fact that I'll see a lot of things on social media about that coronavirus is not as deadly as, say, the flu. And, although that might be true, it still can lead to that if not controlled. Now, the good news is that most people who do contract the coronavirus do not end up dying, not to take away from the people who have lost someone to coronavirus, but it is not really something that is deadly, but it is serious in the sense that it's a new virus. We don't really know much about it. And so that way, the reason why we are decreasing social contact and all those things are a way so that we can kind of get a handle on this. All right. So there are some people, though, that, are fearful of getting it because of the fact they might be pregnant. They might have a weakened immune system. Children are at greater risk because they don't have a strong immune system yet. And the older adults as well. So regardless of your stance on it, I don't think it hurts to kind of be hyper alert and hyper aware of self-care and hygiene and doing all the things that we can to kind of prevent, ourselves from getting sick or getting somebody else sick. So as a nutrition professional, as a registered dietitian, I can't speak much to, more of like the medical side to things, but what I can talk about is more of the nutrition side, which is definitely going to talk to you about today. So the thing that I think we need to be the most, there's the obvious things that we know, right? So we want to wash our hands regularly. We want to make sure that we are not going to places that are really heavily infested with germs. So things like gyms, believe it or not, although exercise is really important, maybe going for a walk outside or doing a little bit of a home workout is a better option than going to somewhere like a gym. Really being mindful of if we do cough or sneeze, that we do it in our armpit and not out, and then we wash our hands immediately after. And that if you feel sick, you go to a doctor. So that's all I can really say about that. Now, what we can do is we can control our diet. So I wanted to highlight some key nutrients that can help boost your immune system. A lot of people, when they're getting sick, they tend to go to supplements, and I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. They'll go to things like Emergency or Airborne or what else? Someone was just saying in my Facebook group earlier, an elderberry syrup or something like that, that's totally fine. And there are definitely benefits to having those supplements. We definitely don't want to overdo the dosage. So whatever the dosage is, you want to do that. But if you eat those foods, your body is actually going to absorb the nutrients from the food much better and much more efficiently. And plus, just eating healthy in general is going to help support your immune system. So there are 4 certain categories. I did an Instagram post about this. There are 4 categories that are really going to really help your immune system for multiple reasons. So the first one is vitamin C. So vitamin C is an antioxidant. And foods that are rich in vitamin C are going to be things, believe it or not, red peppers. I know a lot of people think oranges, although oranges have vitamin C, but red peppers are a lot higher in vitamin C. Spinach, cabbage, broccoli, even things like sweet potato or pumpkin, those are going to be really, really rich in your vitamin C. Okay? And things like zinc. Zinc is another mineral that we want to make sure that we want to get lots of. And zinc is going to help to decrease the risk of infection, so therefore decrease the possibility of you obtaining this virus. So zinc is in a lot of your protein-rich foods, particularly your seafood. Oysters have a tremendous amount. Now, I know not many of us are going to just go out and get oysters. Some people love them, some people hate them. I'm not really a fan of them, and they're not like kind of your everyday average food, I don't think. So telling you to eat oysters might not be the best recommendation, but don't worry, there are other foods that have zinc in them, which are a lot of your protein-rich foods. So a lot of your seafoods, a lot of your fishes, chicken as well, even baked beans, beans just in general have zinc. And then your fortified cereals will contain zinc as well. Catechins are another antioxidant. They are part of the polyphenol family. And all you need to know is, so if you're new to this podcast, antioxidants are basically foods that contain something that slows the chemical reaction of what we call free radicals in the body. So if we do not take in these protective nutrients, then our body can develop certain disease states and stuff like that. And so the free radicals will go and invade the organs and the tissues and kind of destroy our bodies. And so we need to protect against that. So the way to protect against those free radicals are consuming antioxidant-rich foods, which are vitamin C, polyphenols, and catechins, which are a subgroup of polyphenols. And so those are going to be foods like cocoa. So if you wanted to put like 100% cocoa powder in maybe your smoothie or your yogurt or on your cereal or in your oatmeal, that would work. If you want to have a piece of the darker the chocolate, the better. So it'll have more cocoa. So like 90% dark cocoa. A little square of that at night would be great. Berries are a really great source of those catechins. So if you wanted to have maybe put berries in your smoothie or berries in your yogurt, that'll be really, really great. And then green tea. Green tea is very high in catechins. So having some green tea in the morning would be a great option for you. And then the last group that you want to make sure your diet is rich in is probiotics. Probiotics are your healthy gut bacteria that basically help support your immune system. So 70% to 80% of your immune system is in your gut. So when you have a healthy gut, you have a healthy immune system. So consuming lots of probiotic-rich foods are going to help to maintain the environment in which your stomach is able to absorb the nutrients that you're taking in. So foods that are rich in probiotics are things like yogurt, your fermented dairy, so yogurt, kefir. What else? We also have anything that's been fermented. So sauerkraut, kimchi, it's like a Japanese sauerkraut. What else? Oh, kombucha is a fermented tea that a lot of people drink. So those are really great options to start consuming. And then I think I said Greek yogurt. Yeah. So those are going to be your really great options. Now, the things that I would obviously take a look at is that making sure that if you're consuming foods that are rich in vitamin C, that you're getting the whole fruit instead of, say, like fruit juice. We don't want to have too much sugar. If you're doing like something like a protein-rich food, we don't want to fry it and get tons of fat, and then that's not always is going to be the greatest for our body. The catechins, like if we're doing something like, the chocolate or the cocoa or the green tea, we don't want to add like a ton of honey to our green tea, and we have so much sugar that it's not going to be as beneficial, right? And then same thing with things like the foods that contain your probiotics, like your yogurt or your kombucha, like there's sugar in it, so we want to be mindful of the amount. So those are always really important. Now, like I said, food is most important, but if you wanted to take a supplement, you are always welcome to take them, but you want to be mindful that your supplements are really just kind of a band, like they're kind of just to cover the back end of things, but getting it through food is most important. Okay? Now, the other things that you can do outside of just what you're eating is what you're drinking. So staying hydrated with water is super, super important. Maybe if you wanted to squeeze some lemon in your water to increase that vitamin C content, that would be something you could do. We definitely want to limit our alcohol. Alcohol gets into, it disrupts the absorption of your nutrients, and so consuming alcohol will weaken your immune system over time. So you want to be mindful that you're not consuming too much alcohol. Too much is usually for a female, anything more than like 1 to 2 glasses per day, and for a male, anything more than like 2 to 3 servings per day. So a serving of alcohol is a shot of hard liquor, 12 ounces of beer, or 5 ounces of wine. Okay, so that's a good kind of rule of thumb. If you're having any more than that in a day, then chances are it's going to be disrupting your body's ability to absorb those nutrients. So you definitely want to make sure you're limiting your alcohol. Sleep is super, super important because obviously it's going to make sure that you stay rested, and it's also going to help strengthen your immune system. So the average recommendation is 7 to 9 hours per night, but if your body needs more, get more. And I'm going to stress on 7 to 9. I think a lot of people, they hear that you need 7 to 8. It's really 7 to 9. So if you're only getting 7, that might not be enough for you. And so maybe you need to be doing more like 8 to 9. And if you start to feel kind of weak or tired, allow your body to rest. It's asking for rest. Listen to your body and give it rest. Okay. Now the last thing outside of nutrition and kind of the other things is the big one is managing your stress. I don't think people recognize the severity of stress and how it affects your cortisol and how that affects your overall just health, and it just can wreak havoc on the body if you're too stressed out. So right now, panicking about the coronavirus is causing a lot of stress, and it's weakening people's immune system. So we need to do a better job at managing that. And so, I think, some things that we could definitely do. It's interesting that we talked about all of these topics between probiotics and stress management and sleep and alcohol and water and hydration. I have like a podcast separate for each of those in greater detail, but I will say that the biggest thing that we definitely want to do, if you wanted to go back and listening to that managing stress podcast episode, you can listen to that in greater detail. But I think the biggest things are definitely like limiting your plans. If you don't have to do something, don't do it. If it's not a hell yes, then it's a definite no. And then also managing how often you check the news. So I am someone, I actually do not watch the news. My news is my Facebook news feed or my Instagram story. And then if I see anything there, then I'm like, oh, I should probably look into this a little bit more. Then I do. But I do not have cable. I do not watch the news regularly. I do not listen to the news in my car. I don't listen to the radio. I listen to podcasts and audiobooks. And I do that on purpose. I try to input a lot of positive messages, and so I just don't think that the news is very positive. I find the news to be very depressing and fear-based and conflicting, and it makes me question humanity. So I'm not one to listen to the news. Now, with that being said, in this certain situation, I definitely want to stay up to date with what's going on. This is definitely a little bit more serious in the sense that I definitely want to pay attention. So I do check in with the news. I'm not going to stay ignorant and not queuing in on what's important and learning from there. But I am definitely also not somebody who is going to be checking the news constantly because I want, and it like makes me more fearful, and now I'm freaking out. So I'll let you guys in a little bit know of, like, I'm sure this is affecting everyone. I just got off a call with one of my clients. It's affecting everyone in some way. It's changing your day to day. It's affecting you in multiple ways. So the way that it's affecting me, and I'm really trying to and I always like to use myself as an example because I think it helps you guys kind of relate and understand and like hear what's going on. So I have a trip planned to go to, I'm supposed to leave for Mexico next week for my friend's wedding. My friend, who's a really, really good friend of mine, is already having people back out of the wedding, which makes sense, right? They're, traveling and potentially, contracting the virus and then bringing it back and all that. If they have a weak immune system, they're not going. So it's obviously affecting her plans, right? So it's very upsetting, and I'm very upset for her. And so I don't want to back out because I want to be there for her. I definitely want to be there for her. But on the other side of that is that by me going, there's the potential of getting stuck there. Who knows if they decide to like close the border, because Mexico actually hasn't gotten affected with the coronavirus too much. It's like pretty easy going there. And so now maybe they're trying to keep that there. And so now I might get stuck there, which you would be like, oh, what's the worst case? You get stuck in Mexico. Honestly, normally wouldn't be that big of a deal, except that my sister's wedding is the following Friday, and I cannot get stuck there. And now my sister is freaking out because her wedding's in New York City, and because they're limiting social gatherings, it might have to be postponed. So all that to say that I could be obsessing over those thoughts and being really stressed out and just constantly thinking or wondering and finding ways. I'm like, should I go? Should I not go? And that could be all that consumes me. But instead, I'm just taking it day by day. There's so many things that can change, taking it day by day, and I'm going to do what I feel makes the most sense and feels good in my heart when the time comes to make that decision. For right now, I'm not changing anything, but if something has to change, then it will change. So I will encourage you, when it comes to managing your stress, you definitely want to really think, how much are you staying absorbed in the things that what's called confirmation bias. So if you're feeling fearful or scared, and you're constantly saturating yourself with news that is fear-based, then that is only going to confirm your already biased fear. So we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we're constantly checking in and just asking ourselves, okay, what is it that I need right now? How is this going to help me? And what can I do differently? Okay, so that, I think, is a wrap for today. I hope that you found this information helpful. If you're not already subscribed to the Tips with Tony podcast, please subscribe. It allows other people to find it. A new episode comes out every Monday and every Wednesday. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. As always, I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.